So we've got the generative adversarial network GANs. This is essentially the generative of crafting synthetic data, creating live content for art and videos. The VASs essentially deconstruct whatever original, and normally it's all in, this is where it does audio and text, not images. So this VA, it only deals with text. That's what I said, text, audio, or images. The autogressive model really is creates data sequentially. This is where ChatGPT essentially is based on autoregressive models. It's all about predictive. It's all about predicting what the next thing should be, generating. So it looks at data sequentially, and it looks at the element of probability and looks at generating new data. And that's essentially where ChatGPT, which is generative pre-trained transformer. So the main ChatGPT sits on this particular model of autoregressive models. And this is what I was saying, is that if we go back to these 6, we need to understand that these 6 are models, some of the most prominent models, and depending on whatever the client solution they are looking. So every time we sign up to a new company creates something. And the good thing about, like, for example, when you look at OpenAI, one of the key things it does is it allows you to integrate it into other systems. So you can go into Canva integrated. If you are using Hotspot Hub for your CRM, you can integrate it depending. So it all depends on what the clients are producing. And then the other 3 are essentially the RNN. What it essentially does, again, is sequential data, predicting next element. This again sits within the ChatGPT, and then it has whether it can take longer sequences or like LSM, whatever. You can look these up. I can share some of these PowerPoints with you, but all essentially that this does is just a different type of that predictive text, especially also the transformer model, again, ChatGPT. Language is not image, model sequence, focuses on ChatGPT is just a transformer model. And then reinforcement learning is a model that really looks to learn and learn through user feedback. By utilizing text generation, interacting, and user feedback allows them to see if a tool is good, is not good. We've got to remember that we are the people that are actually predominantly feeding the ChatGPT. We are the ones that are inputting all the content and training it and developing it. So when we think of, you can hear things like predictive AI, generative AI, I think you just need to remember these 6 different predominant models of generative AI can manifest themselves in such a different variety of context and different industries. So there is the predictive AI, it comes under this section, which is more financial forecasting, consumer behavior, diagnosis, fraud detection. It's about setting them up to analyze data in real time. Instead of humans sitting down doing, a lot of these machines could be automated to do that. So a lot of your knowledge is not just functional knowledge. If you are a data analyst, is for you to learn as much technology that is used in these new uses of generative AI in creating new solutions, software applications. So the more knowledge with that and understand their conceptual background really does make a really big difference. So also in art, ChatGPT has, as I said, the image, the video, the text, and the audio. It can learn something very fast and then predict it. It can create new content in music. It can create development of products. You can ask it to go ahead and it can make infinite calculations. It's being used in so many different, and when it's content creation, this goes for everything. It can go into software developers utilizing to create it code, lawyers asking it to create a contract, HR managers or recruitment managers asking it to create case study scenarios. You can go across every possible industry. Now, looking at a little bit more of what are the typical jobs that are likely to be disappearing. I think anything that is administrative, clerical, secretarial role, bank tellers, retail, postal checks, cashiers, travel agents, we are already beginning to see a lot of these being eliminated substantially. If you are going into a restaurant, like bartenders and waiters, if you go into a restaurant, you do your own self-service order, you go to the back, you collect your self-service, the back, the machines are doing it. Really, as a human being, you need to have multiple layers of skills, not just, oh, I am now a qualified this. It's all about, I understand the technology part, I understand the actual process of how the product works, I understand I can fix the machine, I can work the machine, I can use the machine, being able to do all of these variety of different things. So and as I said, even in construction, manufacturing workers, we are beginning to see a huge amount of manufacturing in the restructuring. It's been happening. If we think about cars, for example, when they were first manufactured, there's a car going, one person is putting a bolt, they're sitting on their line, you look at the whole plant, and it's just full of people with moving belts. If you fast forward to today, you have machines just constantly building, and very few people with their protective gear. They know how to operate the machines, fix the machines, recalibrate. Those type of machine operators, machine fixers, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in automotive, they are going to be a lot more sought after, rather than just people who are just doing more manufacturing, stamping next. So, and what are potentially the future of jobs that are coming up? Things like robot manufacturers, service manufacturers. It might sound like, oh, it's so far away, but really, in Africa, raw material management is absolutely huge. Africa has huge amounts of resources. Tapping into all of those resources, not the way they do it in Congo by send. Anyways, let me not divert, otherwise I'll take away valuable moments here. But really, Africa has a lot of raw materials, 60% of the world arable land. So raw material management, moving it, identifying it, you're beginning to see, as I said, a lot in that green section, green energy, from solar energy to trying to move away more from the petroleum. Esports, gaming is one of the, especially for Generation Z, most of them are gamers. When they come together, they have huge prizes. I don't know how long the World Cup and the footballers, I'm sure they will be around for a while, but it sounds crazy, but esports is pretty big. We are beginning to see avatars of ourselves going into meetings, having these all sorts of, we are becoming computerized. For example, artificial body manufacturers, it sounds like something like, oh my God, what is that? But actually, these are, for example, when you look at 3D printers, you can put anything in a 3D printer. You can put human tissue and it will print. It doesn't matter what you put in a 3D printer, it will print it. So a 3D printer alone, for example, I predict we will never need to go and buy glasses. We will have a 3D printer where you will put the right bits. What you will buy is the glass design, get the raw material, and it will print your glasses. We will not need to get a lot of things done. This is all through ecology, etc. But 3D printing prints organs. There are organ printing specialists now. Artificial body manufacturers, we are living longer. If your knee doesn't work, you get knee replacement, hip replacement. People who are not able to talk, connecting this whole neural link into our bodies. We are living longer. Like, it's huge areas. Psychologists and therapists will continue to grow substantially because of mental wellness. The more we become removed from Africa is still, thank God, far away from that, because whilst we are saying, oh, the internet is taking over the world, we need to remember that only 30% of the world is on the internet and 70% is not. So that puts a lot of things into context, which means most of the people in rural Africa are not scrolling. They're getting there. We're getting there. Everybody is doing their your Instagram or whatever else. But when it comes, really, this is when I talk about the future, I want you to also pay attention to your environment. whilst a lot of the next data that I'm going to begin to share with you talks a lot about statistics and data, unfortunately, not a lot of that data always includes Africa, or at least we have South Africa and Egypt that are beginning to be included. But really the bulk of Africa still does not get added to a lot, yet they are delivered as world statistics. So these are some more of the skills really when it comes to anything to do with cloud, statistical analysis, anything to do with software integration, web architecture, web development, user interface, that whole experience, SEO, SEM, mobile application development, network security, marketing campaigns, data engineering, storage management. All of these are still skills that I said 5-6 years ago were the most sought after, and they still are some of the most sought after. Of course, you can add things like, Angular, some of the technologies, but the languages have not changed. You are still using these Ruby, Python, Perl. You still are using your Mac, Linux, and Unix systems, but new technology is constantly getting developed, etc. So some of the larger scale growth that I have identified, these that I believe they will really grow in Africa. So education, agriculture, and digital commerce. I believe those are three very large areas that I do believe will work in Africa. Education, first of all, it is predicted that the e-learning industry by 2050 will be the third largest and most lucrative industry in the world. And this is not just e-learning, but we have seen, not just through COVID, but we have seen education really change. There is a huge amount of advocacy in Africa to teach our own history, change the way we consume that whole. You see, there are different ways of learning. There are oral, there are kinetic, there is visual. And the way we are taught needs to change. All this sitting, memorizing through the ear, repeating is not really. So bringing the talent out of it, of people from a young age, I really predict that. So education teachers, university teachers, higher education, all of the education will evolve. And also you will find that, teachers will not only be theory, you will find lots of people who have a lot of experience will become the teachers to teach, rather than just teachers in the theoretical aspect. Agriculture, we have again, huge amount of innovation. Agri-tech, I have a client, Cropin, who it's an app, ERP. It manages end to end from what do I grow on this land? What is the meteorological prediction? What will be the value of that crop? Where can I get the seeds? The whole entire line. And they use meteorology, satellite, and all sorts of different things. We have a lot of equipment. And in Africa, we are also beginning to see a lot of equipment coming through in the manufacturing. We really are beginning to see that. Also digitally e-commerce, digital transformation, anything to do with moving any industry from your traditional into digital. And we as Africans and as Kenyans get onto that jump wagon of that digital transformation very, very fast. Gigi, no, it didn't even exist. Now everybody is purchasing. Airbnb, it didn't exist. Now every house in Nairobi is on it. So we embrace it. When I come here in Reading, in my town, there is no Uber, there is no Bolt. Local transport, it's illegal in some countries. So in Africa, the whole M-Pesa transfer of money, we really do embrace. So this is one of the sources from the World Economic Forum. And if we just look at the top 10 rising versus the top 10 declining, data analysts, scientists, AI, machine learning specialists, big data, digital marketing, process automation. Now, I did not have time to add, automation is another arm that is really changing the way we do things. Automation really is its own, because everything is getting automated. Yes, through even generative AI and automation on all sorts of other learning, creating the robots, etc. Security, anything to do with digital and digital security, Internet of Things. And if we look at what is going down, data entry, administrative, secretaries, accounting, bookkeeping, assembly factories, really basic customer services, basic roles like that will get eliminated. When we look at again here, the largest, very similar, this data comes from, I think is a much more recent 2023. Again, it really repeats. We are seeing now this becoming a much more reality, whereas 10 years ago when we were saying it, it was like, oh, really? But now it's happening. I'm not sure what's happened. Let me stop sharing. I'm still here. Fantastic. I thought I'd lost you there for a moment. Let me go back. Bear with me a second. Here you go. I think my screen just froze. Okay. Here we go. I'm almost coming to the end. So these are, again, we can see portals, assembly factories, cashiers, security guards. Even in Kenya, I mean, there are more security guards in Africa than anywhere else in the world. But even in Kenya, we are beginning to see far more technology-based, unmanned type of technology, whether it's light, trigger, cameras, videoing. We are beginning to see this, as I said, this innovation comes across so many different industries. So work strategies for really over the next 5 years, invest in learning and training on the job. That's one of the things that I would look at in an organization. Are they using, how innovative are they? Where is that? What am I going to be learning in that employer? Employers really need to take responsibility in upskilling. And you tend to find the most people that are likely to get investment to upskill would be at mid-level, the mid-level of their careers. Maybe not towards the end, or maybe not too early, but at mid-level is where you will get businesses say, okay, we know you are very good. You've delivered with us. You've been with us for 5 years. You've delivered all of this. We will now take you away and develop you so that you can come in and take over a whole new other line of business. So that will have to be, organizations have to become, otherwise the industries and big players will die. And this is how disruptive industry is cutting across into many more established monopolies. So accelerate the automation of processes. This is, start learning how to automate everything, or even just become aware of it. Outsourcing significant areas of work. This is really happening more and more. Expand, for example, if we think of sales, especially, if we think of sales, B2B versus B2C. B2C sales, predominantly that's done through marketing. If I, as a customer, want to purchase from a business, and let's say I want to get a pair of headphones, I don't know, I might go on GG, I might go on wherever. But when I'm looking at each headphones, that I'm going to look at customer reviews. How many dots did they like? So we are finding that we as customers leave. In fact, there are so many jobs in leaving reviews for businesses. They are literally, there's so many jobs and that's the gig economy. I've diverted slightly, but so outsourcing significant work, you are finding in sales, for example, businesses will, especially if they have to do in B2B sales, if the sale deal is smaller, you will tend to find there is a lot more sales consultancies that are developing so that they will go and get the leads out there, and then we move more. That's how companies like Bolt, because Bolt may be a B2C, but they have a B2B sales. Also, when you think of B2B sales, what I would say is that 20 years ago, a salesperson was, oh, that's my trusted advisor. Everything I need, I'm going to go to you, come to you for anything technologically. 2010, okay, you're now representing a company, you seem to know what you are doing. You'll say, oh, okay, you are doing a sales, let me bring in a pre-sales person in. As we are moving now into this area, you no longer have the time to find a field salesperson and a pre-sales. They are coming together. They are looking for very strong pre-sales people that are able to also do selling of technology. So you don't have that. So very strong technically minded people who also have that ability to articulate and have that sales competency. And you cannot teach somebody a competency. Like if I'm not artistic, you cannot teach me to be artistic. You can teach me to paint, you can teach me to draw, but you cannot teach artistic. It's like if you are musically inclined, these are different intelligences that you are born with. I'm diverting. Let me come back here. But really know that your company is going to reduce the number of workers continuously. Each person coming in will have to wear multiple. Hires will really, only the most permanent staff will have, they will invest in them and they will grow in them. The largest jobs you will be finding growing substantially: agriculture and equipment operators, heavy truck. We can see the logistics industry exploding. This is where drones coming in to take over the Amazon, especially over COVID. You know, we have, our Uber Eats or Deliveroo or whatever else. Food is brought to us. We don't walk about as much, do everything else. So vocational teachers, mechanics, machinery repair, business development, salespeople are never not going to be needed. So education teachers, you can see that, structural, metal workers, light workers, digital marketing, some construction laborers, electrician, plumbers, the most specialized, and where possible, they will just bring in very cheap labor. Technology adoption, again, this was a very interesting one. Digital platforms and apps, education and workforce development technologies, big data, Internet of Things, clouding, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. I mean, almost all of these, you can really voice, text. These are a lot of the generative AIs and where they are sitting in. Micro trends. I will share some of these slides. I just want to leave a little bit more time for questions because I would like us to ask questions, really. This, I think, the last slide of the statistics. So these are the most posted jobs on LinkedIn. Really, it's only 2 years ago, but this is and I found this really to be continuing. Recruiters, finally, we have recognition. But finding recruiters, actually recruitment is, you see, there is no, at university, there is no degree to do recruitment. You go in to do HR, and recruitment is a small part of HR. So you come out with a generalist, but you have very little. So all recruitment work is learned on the ground. Otherwise, here's job board, here's a job description, here's a back office of systems, and go and do that. So the way Gen Zs also like, for example, the application process to be gamified, because Gen Zs will not come back and make application for the same company over and over again, or come for the same interview over and over again. So there is a lot of change happening in the talent acquisition. Sustainability, we know environment is a huge area for us. Not just carbon footprint, but really anything to do with sustainability, green jobs. You've heard those frames. Customer service, customer success. This is all really understanding. That's the B2B, B2C sales, customer journey, customer interaction, all of that. CX, customer experience, comes under that customer success. Talent acquisition, sustainability, workplace coordinator, growth marketing manager, as you can see here. So really, how do you go about managing yourself? Know that you are an international employee. Do not leave your career just on a CV that lives on your laptop. Build your LinkedIn profile, build your connections. Start to understand that even if you are happy and working in your current environment, you need to understand where at the forefront of skills, what are the most sought after. Let's say you are in sales. Understand that, what is it that I'm selling? Is it a short sales cycle? Then it's a product. Is it off-the-shelf vanilla? Oh, you want this here, transaction cost, done, versus more complexity, versus public sector. All of these are different areas to look at. And actually, don't make assumptions on your career. Validate them, ask questions, research, go and look into it. Try and build your IT knowledge regardless of where you are. Whatever you are doing, build that IT knowledge. Try and create a 5-year plan for your career. Your career is not static. Your skills are not static. Whilst you are working and delivering in your job every day, new people are learning new skills, new technology is getting brought out, and all of a sudden, the system can now go ahead and automate your whole customer journey and create everything and program it, and you have very little to do then. So try, where possible, your IT skills constantly need to be updated.